Hi, boys and girls. I'm going on to the next chapter. However, this is a complicated chapter because after the victories of Shmuel against the Philistines, and after Shmuel establishes himself as the religious leader, all of a sudden there is a problem. Just like in Sefer Bamidbar, the Israelites are constantly complaining and rebelling. Now they're suddenly asking for not a religious leader and not for a judge, because the period of the judges, which ends with Shmuel, is a failure. None of the judges succeeded in unifying the nation, and when the Philistines or the Amorites or the Moabites or the Ammonites or the Ammonites or the Amalekites attack, only one tribe or two go to fight the nation. So suddenly the people are asking for a king. They said, give us a king, kechol hagoyim, like all other nations. Kechol hagoyim, like all other nations. Shmuel is devastated. I just worked to establish God as your leader, and now you want to be like all other nations. So before we go off to see all the logic that Shmuel says for which you shouldn't have a king, let's look at the laws of the king in Sefer Dvarim. In Sefer Dvarim, we're going to look at the chapter that tells us that when you come to the land, as you're entering Eretz Israel, okay, in Deuteronomy 17, there's only 6 psukim, but they're important psukim, and I'll do that first, and then I'll go into Sefer Shmuel, and if I don't finish the chapter, I may have to split it into A and B. So here we go, chapter 17, Perek Yud Zayin, Pasuk Yud Dalet. Ki tavo el haaretz. In terms of Sefer Dvarim, another mitzvah that you have to obey when you enter the land. Asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach, v'irishta v'yashavta ba, ve'amarta, and you say, Asima alai melech, kechol hagoyim asher svivotai. I will set a king over myself like all other nations around me. So what does the Torah says? Okay. Som tasim alecha melech asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha bo. So it says you could have it, but you'll have it my way. You shall, you may, or you shall. Watch the translation. It says you shall. It may be read that you may establish a king. Melech asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha bo. It's a king that God chose, not what you choose. Mikerev achecha, it has to be from amongst you, from amongst the Israelites, it has to be Jewish. Lo tuchal latet alecha ish nochri, you may not take a non-Jew, a stranger, asher lo achicha hu, who is not from amongst you. What are the conditions for a king? Lo yarbe lo susim, he should not have too many horses. V'lo yashiv et ha'am Mitzrayma. 2, he may not return the people to Egypt. Okay, leman harbot sus, he shouldn't go back to Egypt to bring more horses. V'Adonai amar lachem, lo tosifun lashuv baderech hazeh od. You will not return on this way anymore. Next, lo yarbe lo nashim, he shouldn't have too many wives. V'lo yasur levavo, and he should not turn away, and he shall not acquire silver and gold for himself. So not too many wives, not too many horses, not too much gold. What's the Torah concerned about? The Torah is concerned that the king is going to accumulate wealth at the expense of the people. Who is going to pay for it? The taxes. The Torah doesn't want the people should be overtaxed. Kesef v'zahav lo yarbe lo me'od. Ve'haya keshifto al kiseh mamlachto. And when he sits on his royal throne, what is the ultimate? Katav lo mishneh haTorah. He should make for himself 2 copies of this Torah. Milifnei haKohanim ve'halviim, before the Kohanim and the Leviim. Ve'haita imo, and this book shall always be with him. Ve'kara bo kol yemei chayav, and he should always read it. Leman yilmad le'yirayet Adonai Elohav, so that he should learn to respect and fear God. Lishmor et kol divrei Torah azot, ve'et hachukim ha'ele la'asotam. So the king needs to write a Torah, and he needs to study it, so that he should always have the rule of God in his presence. Levil tirum levavo me'echav, so he should not be haughty, arrogant, from amongst his brethren. Ulevil tisur min mitzvah, and he should not deviate from the mitzvah. Yaminu small. This is the fourth time that we have Yaminu small. Remember the others. Lema'an yarich yamim, so he should have a long journey on his throne, and his children amongst Israel will continue. Okay, so that's what the Torah says about a king. Now we move to Sefer Shmuel. We're in chapter 8, and this piece from Dvarim is in the text that you're going to receive in a few minutes. Okay, so Samuel's son turned out to be corrupt leaders, like the sons of, correct, like the sons of Eli. Shmuel's sons also are not following the father's footsteps. The people tell Shmuel they want a king, and he does not succeed in trying to convince them to reconsider getting a king. God tells Samuel that the request is inimical, but it's not right, but Shmuel needs to respect it. Shmuel needs to respect the request of the people to have a king. Okay. Vayikasher zaken Shmuel. Shmuel is getting old. Vayasem et banav shoftim leIsrael. So like any good father, he wants his children to have a good job. Okay? And what does he do? He wants them to be judges. Vahishem beno habechor. His elder son is Yoel, in English Joel. And his Veshem Mishnehu, and the second son, is Aviyah, in English Abiyah. Okay, and they are sitting as judges, but look where they're not sitting. They're not sitting anywhere near their father. They're completely at the other end of the country. You can read that it's perfectly legitimate to have another place of judgment in the other side of the country, or you could already get a hint that they're not following in their father's ways. Velo halchu banav bidrachav, and his children did not follow Shmuel's ways. Vayatu achrei abatza vayikhu shochad vayatu mishpat, and they turned after gain. Yatu turned after gain. We had that shoresh yatu with the donkey of Bilam. Okay, and here they are turning away from their father's way, and they want wealth, they want gain, and they accept bribes, and they perverted justice. Yatu mishpat. Vayit kaptzu kol ziknei Israel vayavohu el Shmuel haramata. They come to Shmuel in his city of residence, Ramah. Vayomru elav hine ata zakanta. Shmuel, you're getting old, and uvanecha lo alchu bidrachecha, and your sons aren't following in your footsteps. Sima lanu melech leshoftenu kechol hagoyim. Make for us, establish for us a king who will rule, who will judge us like all the other nations. Vayira davar beinei Shmuel kasher amrut nalanu melech leshoftenu. And notice, please, that the text that's repeated is Tnu lanu melech leshoftenu. What bothers Shmuel is that they want a king to be their judge. It's not that kol hagoyim. Vayitpalel Shmuel el Adonai, and Shmuel prays to God. What should I do? Vayomer Adonai el Shmuel, Shma bekol ha'am, lechol asher yomru elecha. Shmuel, listen to the people, everything they tell you, because it's not you, it's not against you, it's against me. Lo otcha ma'asu, it's not you that they reject, Shmuel. It's me, God, that they reject from being their king. So God assumes that they don't want God to be their king anymore. This is what they have done from the day they left Egypt till today. And they always left me and they went to worship other gods. And that's what they're doing now for you. Sammy, listen to them. Shmuel, shma bekolam. Ki ha'et ta'id ba'am, vehigadet alayim mishpat hamelech asher imloch aleihem. The only thing you could do is tell them Mishpat HaMelech. Mishpat HaMelech refers to the text in Deuteronomy chapter 14 that I read to you before we started. Ve'ata shma bekolam, vayomer Shmuel, et kol divrei Adonai el ha'am sho'alim mito melech. And Shmuel tells them everything that they asked for, that they should know what they're up against when they have a king. Vayomer, and Shmuel says, Yezei mishpat hamelech. This is going to be the rules, the manner, the style of the king that you want to rule over you. 1, he's going to take your sons, et bnechem yikach v'sam lo b'merkavto. He's going to take your sons and put them on his chariots and his horsebacks, and they're going to and have an honor guard in front of the chariots. ולשום לו שרי אלפים ושרי 50 ולחרוש חרישו ולקצור קצירו ולעשות כלי מלחמתו וכלי רכבו. They're going to have officers of thousands, and they're going to officers of 50s, and they're going to take your office. The king is going to take your children to plow his fields, and to cut the crops, and they're going to do wars, and they're going to have weapons of war. And your daughters he's going to take, and he's going to make to perfumers. It really may mean druggists, like the people that make the drugs. But here it says perfumers and cooks and bakers. And he's going to take your fields, and he's going to take your vineyards, and he's going to take your olive groves. The good ones he's going to take away, and he's going to give it to his servants. V'zar'echem v'charmechem ya'asor v'nitan lesarisav u'le'avadav. And he will take 1/10 of your grain crops and your vineyards, and he will give them to his officers and his slaves and your servants and your female servants and your young men and your donkeys, and they're going to take them all to do the king's job for the monarchy. Tzonchem ya'asor, he's going to take 1/10 of your sheep, and you're going to be his servants. And then you're going to come screaming to God. Uzaktem bayom ha'u milifnei malkechem, you're going to come screaming to the king that you chose, and God is not going to answer you. God is not going to respond to you. It was your choice. God is going to respect your choice. Vayemanu ha'am lishmoa b'kol Shmuel, and the people refused to listen to Shmuel. Vayomru lo ki melech yelanu. No, Sammy, we want a king. Gam anachnu kechol hagoyim. We should be like all other nations, and our king should be our judge, and our king is going to fight our battles for us. We're not going to be constantly at battles with different peoples around Israel. Vayishma Shmuel et kol divrei ha'am vayidaber baznei Adonai. And Shmuel heard everything that the people said, and he came to God to tell him what they say. Vayomer Adonai el Shmuel. And God answers him. Shma bekolam, listen to them. Vehimlacht alayim melech, anoint a king. And Shmuel sends everybody home. Lechu ish le'iro, go to your homes. It's 14.5 minutes. I'll stop here and I'll upload.